Hi guys and welcome in the next video. So today I wanted to show you and talk a little bit about flags in FANUC. Ready? Let's get started.
5, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0.
Alright, so why I wanted to talk about flags, and do you know what the flags is? So a lot of people that I work with, they don't even know that flags exist and they don't use them, whereas I think it's a great tool that is adding you some additional memory and a place where you can store any information or use it to run some programs or to select some tasks. So what are the flags? Basically the flags works exactly the same as the digital outputs. So it has a state or on or off, and you can use it just to store any information. So basically, if, for example, let's say you don't have enough IOs, but you want to save some information somewhere, flags would be a perfect example how to do it. Or maybe, for example, you don't want to use a register to save something, but you want to have that memory bit somewhere. There you go, flag is the way to go. So basically, what you will do is you're going to make an equation saying flag number 1, for example, equals to some data. And you can mix various types of data. This way you can make a very complex conditions for the flag to turn on. And later on you can monitor that flag and see if it's on and do some action. So for example, you can mix digital inputs and outputs and registers, for let's say, in order to save a state of a robot back there. So let's say you have a very big program, like complex, many calls, many sub-programs and so on, and you wanted to know what happened earlier. So let's say you have a peak program, and then you have like 5 sub-programs to drop on the different tables, depending on what happened at the peak. So if you don't want to use a lot of inputs from the PLC to make the decisions, you could use the flags. So you can program it in the way that you will go to peak, and let's say you miss peak. For some reason you didn't close your clamps and you went out, but you want to save that information somewhere. Then you're going to use a flag. So okay, I miss peak, I will turn on the flag number 1. I pick correctly, I will turn on flag number 2. I picked, but I don't like something, I'm going to pick flag number 4, and so on and so on. And then you're going to use it to make a decision about the drop. So let's say if the flag number 1 was on, you're going to run that program. If flag number 2 was on, you're going to run this program, and so on and so on. Another cool feature about the flags is you can map the flags to your inputs or outputs. And I'm going to show you how to do that on the exercises as well. What else? You can use the flags just to turn a state of something. So let's say you have a gripper with multiple clamps and you want to open just 1 or 2. I show you how to do it with the arguments. So you can use the argument to open a clamp, but you can use flag as well. So let's say you have 5 clamps, then you will use flag number 1, 2, 3, 5 and 6, for example, in order to operate the gripper. So you make a macro saying that flag number 1 is going to close just your first clamp. Flag number 2 is going to close the second clamp, and so on until all of the clamps are closed. And then you can use the additional flag number 6, in order to close all of the grippers, all of the clamps, or open all of the clamps. So flags are very, very useful, guys. I think it's worth looking into them, understanding them, and using them in your programs, of course, if you want to. Alright, so let me show you how that works on the exercises. Alright guys, and welcome to the exercises. So let's talk about the flags. First, let me show you where the flags are. So you will go to your menu, you'll go to your IO, and right here you can find the flags. So all of the flags are listed here. If you want to change the state of the flag, you simply click on or off. If you want to change the name, you will hit detail. And here you're going to hit enter, and you can input any name you wish. Okay, So that will be pretty much it about where the flags are located and how to turn them on and off. Now let me show you how to make a flag in a program. So let's go to our programs. Let's create a new program. Let's name it flag. And let me add a few lines in here. So if we want to make a flag, if we want to change state of it or declare the flag, you will simply hit instruction. You will go to your IO, and in here on the right side you can find a flag. So you will hit enter, and that's how the flag command looks like. Let me turn on double window so we can see the flags on our right hand side. So simply you'll input which flag do you want to use. You can use, let's say we want to turn on flag number 1, so we say flag number 1, and you can define its states to many things, which I will show you later. So let's simply turn it on, and as we execute the logic, the flag will turn on. Okay, you can also, like with other things, you can use indirect methods, and then you can define a register where you will store the flag number and we'll turn on the flag depending on the register. So let's take a look what's in our register number 100 here. So we have value of 3, so that means we're going to turn on flag number 3. So let's see. Correct, we did turn on flag number 3. So what is the cool feature about the flags, guys? So we can use the flag, like I said, as a memory bit. So let's say, for example, you want to know if some signals did turn on during the program or not. So then you can use the flag as your memory bit. So let me show you what I mean. So let's say our flag number 2 is going to be our memory bit. And we want to know if, let's say, digital input 100 and digital input 101 were on. Or maybe the other state, maybe let's turn on flag 3 if that one was on and this one was off. And let's turn flag 1 if our input 100 was not on and our input 101 was not on as well. And let's use one more flag, flag number 4, if only the second input was on. So this way we can monitor the state of many inputs at the same time. So as you can see, we will turn flag 1 if none of those are on. We will turn on flag 2 if the first one, if both are on. We will turn flag 3 if the first one is on, and we will turn on flag 4 if the fourth is on. So let's see what is the state right now. So let's run it. It turns out that none of the IOs are on. Let's take a look. Yes, as you can see, none of them are on, so we did turn flag number 1 on because of this. The cool thing in here, well, it's not only for the flags, but in our case, you don't need to remember to turn those flags off, because as we run the program again, they will automatically turn off. So what I mean is, like, I'm not going to turn this flag off, but as we run this program, because we will rerun on the function, we will automatically turn this one off and turn this one on. You will ask me why you want to use it like this. So maybe, let's say we have multiple programs and we want to remember something that happened in like at the beginning of the program, and we want to use that information later. So we can store that information in a digital output or in a register as well. But flag, I think, is a very good option to use it, because maybe the data in the register won't be as clear as a flag. So that's how I use the flags usually, to keep some data. So basically I'm making a flag my memory bit to remember what was done earlier. So let me show you a program that I've done very quick. So there is the program flag1 and program flag2. So inside the program flag1, basically there is also a declaration of the input, so kind of like we did over there. Then in here I wait for sure to one of these states to be on. And then in program 2, I'm writing a value to a register based on those conditions. So let me show you that program very quick. Let's jump into the flag. Let's turn this flag off. Let's go to our flag 100. And let's run the program. So as of right now, we have only 101 on. So as we run it, you can see we turn the flag 101 on because the input 101 is on as defined in here. So we had that one off, that one on, and this one on as well. So what's going to happen if we won't declare the state? Nothing, we'll just get stuck on this line and the robot won't continue. So this way you make sure that one of your flags has to be set in order to program to continue. Actually, what we should have done also is in here, we should define a timeout and jump to level 1 after the time. So to make sure that we're going to keep on running this program until we get a flag. So now, as we run, we won't just get stuck in here, but we will be looping all the time, waiting for the state to change. So if we're going to change the state, so one of these inputs is going to be true. So let's say this one. And we keep on running after the timeout is gone. Then we will continue and we will maintain the information of that flag being on. Why? Because let's say during the program, this input is going to turn off, but you want to remember that that input was on. So maybe you want to make a decision based on something that happened earlier. Flags are very, very useful to do that. Okay. What else? You can also map the flags to a digital input or output. So if you go to your digital, you go to your config, and if you want to map a flag, you want to use rack34. So let's say I want to map outputs 1200 to 1300 to flags from 1 to 100. And let's see what's going to happen, and let's do the same for our inputs. So let's say our input 1200 to 1300 is going to be 34, 0, and 101, as we want to see both in and out. Okay, let's cycle power. So also guys, if you don't have enough digital outputs or inputs, but you want to maintain the information, again, flags will come handy to you. All right, we got our robot back. So let's see what happened. Now, let me split the screen into 3 screens. Let's see our first portion of the flags in here. Let's see our second portion of the flags here. And let's see our inputs and outputs. Okay. So as you remember, we used here, we have the flag. So that's going to be our first output. So as I turn this one on, you can see that flag number 1 turns on. Because it's an output, it works reverse. So that means if I turn on the flag number 5, then the fifth output is going to turn on as well. So that looks pretty cool. As you turn the flag on, off, or the output off, the flag will also stay off. Now if you go to your inputs, of course we cannot turn the input on using a flag, but if the input will turn on, the flag will turn on as well. I should have used a different input, so I can show you this a little bit better. Because right now nothing will turn on this input, so we oh, see guys, I forgot the one. Now we can cycle power and see how it works. Alright, now it's going to work much better when we set it up correctly. Okay, let's turn on the input one more time. Let's go to our flags. And now let's turn on the flag and see what's going to happen. So we go to flag number 101. And as I turn on the flag, the input will turn on. So I hope that will give you some options, because with that you can do interconnects and stuff to transfer the signals better, because you can assign something to the flag, then flag to an output, and this way you can store even more memory or do even more complicated logic. So that will be all about the flags. Not many people use them, but I think they are a great tool, and if you're making a complex logic, it's very, very useful, as well as I said, retaining a memory. So this way you can keep the memory somewhere, not on an output that you will waste, or on the registers that might be not as clear. So that's all about the flags. Thank you. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Like always, don't forget to leave your comments down below, subscribe, give it a like, and like always, see you in the next video. Bye bye.